Welcome back to another episode of The Drop, the weekly show that lets you know the hottest games coming out across PlayStation, Xbox, Switch, and PC. And this week is a bit of a lighter week, but some very cool releases coming out as well, headlined by the fantastic Habroxia II, a game that I am posting a review for tomorrow at noon when the embargo lifts. But today we're talking about what it brings to the table. On top of that, we have Werewolf, the Apocalypse, Earthblood, and Project Winter, and a few honorable mentions. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into it. The follow-up to Lillymo Games' 2019 spacefaring retro-style shoot-'em-up, Habroxia, is coming soon with Habroxia II. In the aftermath of a brutal attack on free space, humanity sends scout ships to the star system that was at the source of the assault. But when one of the pilots does not return home, it's up to his daughter, the talented star pilot Sabrina, to find him. Habroxia II is the non-linear, old-school space shooter with upgrades, boss fights, and even New Game Plus, all wrapped up in a retro package combining pixel graphics, chiptunes, and stellar gameplay. As I mentioned earlier, I was provided a free review code for Habroxia II, and I have gone hands-on with the game and played a good bit of it, but I do want to make it very clear that I cannot talk about the game. I'm not giving a review for the game until the embargo lifts tomorrow at noon, so stay tuned for that. I do have a review going up on the channel. But judging just by the gameplay, it is very clear this is a classic old school shooter at its core, and as somebody who absolutely adores the arcade approach to space shooters, this is basically a love letter to everything that I love in games. As I said, I have been given a free review code for Habroxia II, and I cannot share any of my personal takes on the game because the embargo does not lift until tomorrow at noon, so stay tuned for an update on that. But I will say, judging just by the gameplay, this is clearly a love letter to the classic arcade space shooters of old. It looks phenomenal. I cannot wait to play more of it, and if you do want to pick it up this week, Lillymo Games Habroxia II is coming out on PlayStation, Xbox, Switch, and PC, as well as the PlayStation Vita. Werewolf, the Apocalypse Earthblood offers a unique experience full of savage combat and mystical adventures inspired by the famous role-playing game. You are Kahal, a powerful Geru who chose to go into exile after losing control of his destructive rage. You must master the three forms and powers of human, wolf, and the giant ferocious beast Krinos to punish those who defile Gaia, Mother Earth. Each form has its advantages. The wolf can sneak around undetected, Kahal as a human can interact with other people, and the werewolf can unleash its rage to tear enemies apart. This rage is your greatest asset, but also your weakness. If you don't contain it, it can destroy you once again. On your quest for redemption and blood, you will play a crucial role in the Great War between the Geru and Endron, a powerful oil company that serves the Worm, a destructive spirit ravaging the planet. Checking out some gameplay online, it's clear this game affords a lot of different choices for players and how they want to approach a specific interaction with an enemy. So you can use stealth as a wolf, you can interact with humans as a human, or you can hone your werewolf powers and just rip people apart. But try not to do that too frequently because you will lose yourself in the moment. You know, like Eminem said. Early impressions of the game have been mixed online, but as we all know, going hands-on with a game is truly the only way to really know how it plays, and so if you do want to check out Werewolf, the Apocalypse Earthblood, a game that sounds like a brainstorming session brought to life, then by all means you can check it out on PlayStation, Xbox, and PC later on this week, along with the Nintendo Switch. Finally, we have Project Winter, a game that is originally a PC exclusive, now jumping ship and coming over to the Xbox ecosystem, and yes, it is going to be joining Game Pass. Betray your friends in this 8-person multiplayer game focused on social deception and survival. Communication and teamwork is essential to the survivor's ultimate goal of escape, gather resources, repair structures, and brave the wilderness together. Just beware that there are traitors within the group working to sabotage your chances of getting out alive by any means necessary. As a survivor, you will have to complete a series of objectives in order to call one of these several rescue vehicles and escape to win the game. As a traitor, your goal is to stop the survivors from escaping without being identified or killed. Yes, this game does sound like Among Us, but there are a couple of subtle differences. First and foremost, a difference that is not subtle, the way the game looks. I love this art style, and it's one that certainly does speak to my personal taste because this is a fantastic option. On top of that, there is more than one imposter, or in this game they're called traitors, and so you have a bigger group of traitors going up against an even bigger group of survivors, but the odds are still kind of more even than they would be in Among Us. One of the biggest complaints I've seen about Project Winter is that its community could be more active, and that's mainly because the game does cost $20, and that's how much it's going to cost when it launches this week on Xbox. But with that being said, it is coming to Game Pass, and so now anyone with a subscription can jump in and play, meaning this game is getting ready to see a much bigger audience, and it's going to really give it a new breath of life. That is one of the best things about Game Pass, is that with millions of subscribers around the world, even the smallest games on the service are going to get more publicity and more traction and more players, and that's what's going to happen this week with Project Winter. So if you do want to check it out and give it a shot, it's coming out this week on Xbox, and on top of that, it is out now on PC. But to round out today's show, we have a couple of honorable mentions. First off, Neo 2, the complete edition, is coming out on PS4 and PC. Skyforge comes to Nintendo Switch. It's pretty much a big MMORPG. And then on top of that, Ys 9 Monstrum Nox is coming out on PS4. But that rounds out today's episode of The Drop. If you enjoyed today's show, drop me a like down below and let me know what games you are looking forward to playing this week, if anything did catch your eye. Maybe you're ripping and tearing as a werewolf, or you're taking to the skies in Habroxia 2, or maybe you're checking out how to fool your friends and kill them. Just kidding, kill them in Project Winter, not in real life. Had you going there for a minute, didn't I? I mean, do what you want, it's your life, I suppose. But regardless, I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of the week. I'll talk to you soon, and peace.